Hello and welcome to another episode of Versus. I know it's been a few weeks, but actually probably a few months. I don't know, not a month. It doesn't matter. Anyways, I'm back. Hello. And today I have two more games going head to head in an all-out battle royale, and those two games are Rise of the Tomb Raider versus Uncharted 4. Two games that are similar enough, but also very, very different. So let's jump right in with a little backstory here. Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, the sequel to the acclaimed Tomb Raider, which was the, what would you call it? The rebirth of the Tomb Raider franchise. A good game, decent game. I don't like the supernatural storylines, but it was good enough. So this one kind of takes place pretty much right after that all happened. So I'll talk about the story later, but that's the gist of it. Uncharted 4 comes from a long-running series also, which is the Uncharted series 1, 2, 3, and now finally the ending one with 4, even though it's probably going to resurface again with like his daughter or something. But anyways, Uncharted follows Nathan Drake, and he is just like Lara Croft, and he just goes and looks for treasure, and he gets into some interesting predicaments. And a lot of the storylines revolve also around supernatural, but I'll talk about that later. I'm only talking about the fourth game. I'm not gonna compare all the games. I think I already did one with Among Thieves. This is Uncharted 4: Thief's End, so different. Anyway, so let's get started with category number 1. And category number 1 is, as always, graphics. You might go, well, you can't really compare these ones, so I'm going to rename this one to nitpicking graphics. So pretty much what I'm going to do, I'm going to nitpick to the hell out of these games and for their graphics, because usually I just go, no, the graphics are good, they both get a point. But this time I'm going to go and say that both games have stellar graphics, of course, but let's nitpick a little bit, and I think the best way to nitpick them is to just kind of go head to head and see everything that I can think of that was wrong with the graphics in both games, and what was good with the graphics in both games. So Uncharted 4, I think the mud physics and on the mud level were fantastic. Also, water and stuff like that looked great. Same thing in Tomb Raider. The water looks good. The snow physics are there. The snow in your hair is constant. I don't think that really changes. And the landscapes are beautiful and stuff like that. Both games feature ships that should not be in locations that they are in. In both of them, the locations look brilliant. So going to the nitpicking, Lara Croft definitely. There's points in the game where you turn around and look at your character and they just look kind of like stone-faced. Lara Croft looks a little bit less alive at times than Nathan Drake does when you kind of just turn the camera and look at his face. Definitely a little bit more of a dumbfounded expression, if you would say. So that's the nitpicking, and that's really all I can think of, because all the other graphical stuff is quite good. Nothing really phases through each other in the world. I've never really encountered any glitches with the games, so I think the point for the graphics would go to Uncharted 4, simply because, guess what? Nathan Drake looks alive more than Lara Croft does in a lot of the scenes in the game. Next up is category number 2, and category number 2 is the open world or the world. And Uncharted 4 doesn't really have open world per se, but a few of the levels are large, vast levels, like the Madagascar level, where the whole mission is just pretty much an open world adventure with a singular point, kind of like Destiny. Cough, cough. So, the levels, they're designed all right. I can't quite point out which ones were my least favorites, but there were a few levels that just didn't really make sense to me, and then there's also, I wish that there was more of those free roam open areas. Like, there's only like 2 or 3 of them in the game. One of them being Madagascar, one of them being you have a boat on a secret island. Then I think there's one more in there somewhere. I forget. It's like at the beginning of a level where it's only like a little town. And I really wish there was more of that, because if there was more of that, It might have made the game a little bit more enjoyable, even though I really enjoyed the game all over. Tomb Raider, almost the same, but at the end of each chapter, yeah, and the whole game's open world, so there's like, I wouldn't say the whole game is. There's pathways to get to certain open world areas, but once you get to those areas, there's a lot to do. There's tombs to explore, there's caves to go into, there's predators to defeat, there's animals to hunt, there's things to craft. So most areas, have a few side missions for you to do, or side quests given to you by the local people who you side with during the game. So even though they are, the open worlds are, or the open areas are kind of like, oh, here's how they get to the next level, chapter. It's a little bit more in depth, so that's why Tomb Raider gets the point for open world. Excuse me. Category number 3. Category number 3 is the secrets, and I kind of already mentioned a little bit of this with Tomb Raider. But Uncharted 4, the secrets in the game are pretty much just the little treasures you can find throughout the levels. They're a pain in the ass to find. I think there's like 150 in the 4th game, which is ridiculous, really, if you think about it. And they're not really fun to find. They're usually in places that, well, you wouldn't think of looking, or, maybe, they're hidden in depth, but not too in depth. I mean, I've only found like half of them in the 4th game. I don't even think half, because I didn't really look for them, because I didn't really feel like finding them. There's just way too many of them in this one, and there's really no other secrets in the game. Like there's no like, oh, bust open this wall and you go into Minecraft world. No, nothing like that. In Tomb Raider, I was already talking about this, the caves and stuff like that. There's like challenge tombs is what they call them in this one, which, yeah, they're still optional, but there's a lot more of them, and they have some really interesting puzzles in them. It's not just totally skill based. So there's a lot of puzzle working. And nice enough, I mean, so far in the game, I haven't had to have any specific upgrades that I haven't already gotten throughout the game. So that's been nice that I could do them at my own leisure instead of, oh, I gotta go back to this part of the island. Nope. It's all right there for me, ready to go. So that's a nice thing. There's also secret stashes hidden around with coins and wood and all that crap. So definitely Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider gets a point in the secrets category. Category number 4 is gunplay, which is the majority of what these games are, with the occasional climbing. Well, I guess Uncharted 4 is a little bit more climbing than gunplay, but I feel like Uncharted does have more. I guess it doesn't have more weapons. They have about the same amount of weapons each, and Uncharted 4's weapons are nice. There's a good range of pistols, shotguns, the submachine guns, machine guns. All that generic stuff. So it's got some good stuff in there. But really, when you want to talk about weapons, you go with Tomb Raider, because one, you have to find the pieces to some weapons, which are the better weapons, and you can also craft upgrades for your weapons. So they makes them better. And then of course, the bow and arrow is pretty sweet in the game. This time around, you don't have to actually learn how to make it. She just kind of knows how to from the last game, so that's nice. And there's also a plethora of other weapons you can get, especially with the 20th Anniversary Edition that you can get on the PS4, which has everything. There's a lot of DLC weapons that are pretty sweet, so you can check those out. So in the gunplay, and I should say the controls, I do feel like Uncharted has better controls for cover system and stuff like that than Tomb Raider. So, I mean, I'm kind of at a standstill here with them, because on one side, better guns, but the other side has better controls for the combat situations. So I rather prefer having the better controls over the better guns. So that's why Uncharted gets a point in the gunplay category. Category number 5 is story. This is one that I already kind of talked about at the beginning, but I'll get back to it. So Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, pretty much what it sounds like. It's Nathan Drake's last great heist. And in this one, I'm going to spoil a few things. Maybe not spoil, but I'm going to say this. There is no supernatural aspect to it, like I said earlier. which is nice because I'm not a big fan of those. It centers around a band of pirates who make like a pirate's court. And you have to kind of figure out where their base of operations was and what happened and where all the gold went. So it's a fun journey through the story. There are some generic things that happen, of course, like Nathan Drake's wife finds out that he went back to searching for treasure, and the brother did this, that, and it's pretty regular storyline. So even though it's a fun story, it's a nice story, there are still some faults in it, but it's not too bad. As for Rise of the Tomb Raider, the story is pretty basic as well, although there's a few more twists and turns in it, and there is that supernatural element of the Fountain of Youth type thing going on, which I mean it's alright, but I don't really like that supernatural junk. I wouldn't call it junk, I guess I would just call it stuff. And in Rise of the Tomb Raider, it at the beginning it's very light, but then it's heavily poured on towards the end with these soldiers who they're like zombie-like, but they're also pretty intelligent. So it's like, what the heck, and all that stuff. And there's this prophet guy, and all in all, I mean, the story's not bad. The gameplay's good enough that I can kind of get past the story aspects of it. But all in all, I think Uncharted 4 definitely had a better story. So that's why Uncharted 4 gets the point in story. Next up is category number 6, which is multiplayer. And I'll start off the bat by saying both games do have microtransactions, so they kind of cancel themselves out there. Uncharted 4 has the coins you can buy for upgrades and stuff, which is really annoying as it gets. The multiplayer for Uncharted features third-person shooting action, right? And pretty much all you got, it's just team-based stuff. You work together to fight the other team, capture objectives, stuff like that. All the different game modes that you would expect. There's a little bit of a twist, though, because you have to find treasure and then you can buy upgrades mid-game. So it kind of has a different feel to it. There's like guys you can bring in to help you, like a medic or an assault guy. Or you can get the magical staves of death, where there's one where they're just the treasures from the games. So they do exactly what you think they do. They just kill or heal or stuff like that. And then you can upgrade your grenades and stuff like that mid-game. So there's a different level to the game. Mostly it's just a regular old third-person shooter type thing. Light amounts of bullshit. It's still fun though. I still would say it's a fun multiplayer experience. It's not too bad. Tomb Raider, even though the multiplayer is DLC, I'll still go over it as multiplayer because it comes with the damn PS4 version, and it will come with the Xbox 20th edition version too. So what is this DLC though? It's a survival, co-op survival. I think it's up to only 2 players allowed. And pretty much what you do is you work together to survive the wilderness for X amount of days until a chopper comes and saves you. And there's, bears, wolves, stuff after you have to eat, you have to survive, you actually have to hunt for food, make campfires, to craft your weapons, fight off soldiers when they come around. Your partner and you can split up, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous to go alone. And I think, all in all, that experience is a lot better than just a standard multiplayer. Even though you have to buy cards. Well, you don't have to buy the cards, but you can buy the cards in the game, which will give you boosts or negatives, and will boost XP if something like makes it harder. If something makes it easier, you lose XP, extra XP. So it's interesting to use the cards. I don't recommend buying them. I don't know if you earn the coins in game. It didn't seem like I was earning too many if I was. But for the 20th edition version, you get 300,000 coins or something like that free. So you can kind of get most of the cards you might use. I don't know if they're one-time use or what, but still, it's an interesting experience, and I think that it's a lot better than, let's say, Uncharted 4's multiplayer. So that's why Tomb Raider gets the point in multiplayer. And finally, category number 7, which is overall satisfaction. Really, I'm satisfied with both of the games. They're not, both of them are exceptionally well done. I just think that Tomb Raider has made it a little bit more of a experience than Uncharted 4. Gives you a little bit more freedom to kind of do what you want to do in those free roam areas. It gives you the ability to explore more than maybe the normal gamer would, or maybe a normal gamer would go a little bit further in this game than Uncharted 4. All in all, like I said, both games are good. I'm not going to say that one is better than the other right now. I'm still contemplating that. But I do prefer the Tomb Raider over Uncharted right now. Maybe it's just because I haven't played Uncharted in a while. But also, I said this in my review on my own channel. Uncharted 4 is not a game I want to play through twice. And maybe that'll happen with Tomb Raider, but right now I'm having a good time with Tomb Raider. So, in the end, let's go over our final verdict here. So, all in all, Tomb Raider has 4 points, and Uncharted has 3 points. So that makes Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, our victor. Hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you don't agree with what I say. You can always leave a paragraph or a novel or whatever you want to leave in the comments section telling me why I'm wrong. Go ahead. I love to read those things and laugh. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Anyway, so that was Versus. If you like to hear the sound of my voice, you can go ahead and mosey on over to my personal channel, Jarsh's Opinion. I have plenty of stuff to do on there, including reviews, a new monthly podcast with my friend, go over what happened in the month of gaming. I also have, sometimes I live stream, sometimes I don't, depends on how I feel. Haven't done it in a while, actually. I just did it a few weeks ago, but after that, it's been a while. Random video gaming clips from my PlayStation 4 and all that good stuff. So if you want to, you can check that out. You are listening to the Rant channel, home of your comic book and video game needs. You can mosey on to our podcast. We haven't made one in a while, but they're up there. Last one we did was about trophies, so if you like collecting trophies, you can listen to that one. Also on here, Robert does 5-minute reviews occasionally, where he takes 5 minutes to compile a list of things that are good and bad about a game, and it's short, quick, to the point. And then also this month of October, live streaming every day for Halloween, the scary and spookiest games. Robert's already played through a good amount of the Evil Within, and he's also done game streams for plenty of other spooky titles. I'm sure Outlast is coming soon, along with the Borderlands Halloween stuff. So, keep your eyes open for that. Anyways, remember, as always, I am Jarsh's Opinion, also known as Josh. If you like this video, please leave a like. Also, you can leave a comment. If you don't like this video, you can press the dislike button, and I will compare you to a chewed-up dog toy.